The Forest Service made a decision. Irene was a turning point. The response would be new. Tunnel Brook Road would be decommissioned. The goal was not to fix nature, but to fix what man had done to it. They would attempt to set the floodplain up for a gradual return to the way it was before the road was first built a century ago. It was courageous. It was controversial. Was it right? The scale and complexity of restoring the Tunnel Brook floodplain were at a level never before faced by the Forest Service, and funding was limited. Per standard policy, the Forest Service solicited public feedback on the decision. They also brought in partners to provide broad strategic input, diverse professional expertise, and additional financial resources. This would make the project more efficient, impactful, and reflective of the forest's multi-use mission. One of the main goals of the project was to bring back the natural health of the Tunnel Brook aquatic system. And in New Hampshire, there's no greater expert on the way mountain rivers should be than the wild eastern brook trout.
Brook trout is our native species here in New Hampshire, our cold water species. Prior to sort of the heavy logging, fish could travel anywhere. There were no barriers. They could move up and down tributaries to spawn. Once we started logging, we opened the streams up and they warmed up. So as far as brook trout goes, often the temperatures would get warmer than they could tolerate. So they would not move around the main stem, they would hunker down in tributaries. Once we started crossing the tributaries with roads and putting in culverts that were often undersized, just the stream channels would end up overtopping the culverts, and on the bottom side, the downstream side of the culvert, they would create perched conditions. So at that point, fish couldn't move back up into the tributaries, so they were stuck in the main stem, which often meant that it was temperatures too warm for them to survive. So if we want to grow the base of our fisheries, which is wild fish, we really need to reconnect the system so wild brook trout can survive.